Welcome to Okayama. Welcome to Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli Japan. We are about to get ready for the first of two races around this historic Japanese facility, a track with a lot of history, a track with some very evocative corner names, and a circuit that should be well suited to some exciting action around the entirety of this layout with these Ferrari 488 Challenge Evo machines. This is a circuit that has long been used for tin top racing in Japan, be it touring cars, be it GTs, and we're delighted to be here for the season finale weekend of Ferrari Challenge Japan. As you can see, we've already been on two trips to Suzuka, we've been to Fuji, we've been to Sugo, and Okayama is the final destination of our 2024 calendar. We are very excited to be here for our season finale. The 3-minute board is on display, so very shortly these cars will be rolling. Just time then to tell you a little bit about the championship permutations coming into this race. In the Trofeo Pirelli class, that's the fastest of the four classes, Yudai Uchida, who is third on the grid today, he is already our champion. He is already in position to claim a title, his second consecutive title in Ferrari Challenge Japan. Yuga Furitani is back. He's on the front row of the grid. He's on pole position, a double race winner from our season opening weekend at Suzuka. So he will be one to watch, but Yudai Uchida already our champion. In Trofeo Pirelli AM, starting from 6th on the grid, the championship leader Akita. To my understanding, he only needs to finish this race effectively, and he will be champion in the Trofeo Pirelli AM class. In Copa Shell, Yasutaka Shirasaki is 22 points clear of Phil Kim. And in fact, with Shirasaki on pole position for this race, that's now more like 23 points. So with 15 points available per race victory, Shirasaki is currently in a very strong position to sew up the Copa Shell title today. He starts from 4th overall on the grid as well, so he could be fighting for an overall podium in this race. Copa Shell AM, the final of our four classes, is currently being led by Hiwatashi, Masafumi Hiwatashi in the 1-2-9 car. He lines up 14th on the grid. Critically, he is behind Ryotaro Saito. Saito has reduced the points deficit, I think, down to 18 points, as a matter of fact, because he has the pole position in the Copa Shell AM category. But if Saito wins this Copa Shell AM race, then Hiwatashi would need to finish second to secure the championship in this race. So championships on the line. The Trofeo Pirelli Championship for our fastest drivers has already been decided, but we've got some exciting new drivers to contend with. Of course, the returning Yuga Furitani is one, but the 69 car is there on the front row of the grid as well. That is Rin Arakawa, the driver who is currently racing to great success in Super Formula Light, currently 5th in the Super Formula Lights Championship here in Japan, and is also, of course, a fairly prominent GT racer competing in the Super GT Championship as well. So great to have Rin Arakawa here, and with Yuga Furitani alongside him on the front row, that is going to be a very compelling battle. Of course, Furitani already has a weekend of experience at the wheel of this, the Ferrari 488 Challenge Evo. Not only a weekend of experience, but 2 race victories, of course, from that season opening weekend in Japan. So we cannot underestimate the experience factor in regard to that front row battle. Furitani knows the car a little bit better, but I still think we're going to be on for a real duel at the front of the order between Furitani, Arakawa, and Uchida. Cars are rolling then on at the formation lap here in Ferrari Challenge Japan. Not the sunniest day. It's a little bit overcast, so it'll be critical to get some temperature into these Pirelli P0 tyres on this formation lap before we are underway for half an hour plus 1 lap, 30 minutes plus 1 lap of racing. I've already made mention, of course, of some of the corner names around here. We'll talk about that in a minute. Yuga Furuutani and Rin Arakawa, as we've alluded to, on that front row of the grid. Yuda Uchida is next alongside Yasutaka Shirasaki, the first of the Copa Shell runners, with a very strong qualifying position, 4th overall and 1st in Copa Shell. Motohiko Isozaki on pole in Trofeo Pirelli Am. He's alongside the championship leader and champion-elect Akita. Coldmax is next. He's alongside Kazutaka Miura in the 104. Phil Kim is next on row 5 of the grid, the 199. He'll be looking to make up some places from there. And Kanji Yagura in 10th. Masaru Yaneda and Ryotaro Saito in 11th and 12th positions. 13th and 14th, Norikazu Shibata, Masafumi Hiwatashi. Row 8 of the grid, Ryotaro Umuri and Hiroyuki Katayama. Row 9, Satoru Kako and John Leo. And our final row of the grid, row 10 of this grid, will be Takashi Kurakawa and Ryuichi Kunihiro. So a few of the drivers who perhaps aren't championship contenders, not with us this weekend. We've had stunning grids all across the season, an average across the year of 27 cars entered across the Ferrari Challenge Japan races, often with over 30 taking to the grid at circuits like Fuji and Suzuka, and it's been very exciting to see the progress of Ferrari Challenge Japan. The category resurgent and the region resurgent for Ferrari Challenge racing as well. So the cars come through Hobbs Corner and Mike Knight Corner. The final couple of turns of this circuit. And in a matter of moments, we will be racing for the penultimate time in the Ferrari Challenge Japan season. This is the final weekend of the year. A lot of these drivers, of course, will be considering a trip to Finale Mondiali to represent their country and represent their series in Imola in October. But for the main Ferrari Challenge Japan season, this is the last beat of the drum. Let's see who can claim the final victories. We're underway and racing at Okayama, and it's a good start from Yuda Uchida. Uchida up to 2nd place in the early going. Looks like Coldmax might have had a good start there as well. I think that's him up to 3rd position. So Rin Arakawa has been rather swallowed up there. Arakawa dropping down to 4th position. Some side-by-side action further back as well. I think that's Shirasaki being ever so slightly swallowed up. Motohiko Isozaki up into 5th position. So a good start from the Trofeo Pirelli Am leader. Some diving going on further back in the field as this race gets underway. A good start then from Yuda Uchida, but it's Yuga Furuutani, his rival from Suzuka. They had a brilliant battle in the race number 2 of the season. And we're getting to see a little bit of that magic again between the two of them. Kazutaka Miura there just ahead of the 199 of Phil Kim. So Kim just behind the 104. I think Miura has dropped a position or two there. Some dust being kicked up at Revolver Corner on the first lap of the race. It's Furuutani, though, that leads the way. Uchida in 2nd. And then I believe that is Coldmax there in 3rd position. Which is a very good start from the driver who was set to begin in 7th place. From 7th to 3rd in the first lap, a very good launch. Furuutani has not crossed the line on the first lap. I was wondering if we were simply not picking up Yuga Furutani or whether he'd had an issue. Furutani has not crossed the line on the first lap of the race. So it's Uchida now who leads the way. Yuga Furutani has not crossed the line on the first lap of the race. What a shame for the talented Japanese racer. He's come to a halt out there on the circuit. Looks like he might be facing... No, he is facing the correct direction, but the car is stranded. Well, that is a big shame, but that hands Yudai Uchida, the champion already in Trofeo Pirelli, a race lead. Cold Max, meanwhile, under pressure from Rin Arakawa. Arakawa, as we've alluded to, very experienced, very determined young racer. Another one of these career-minded drivers coming into Ferrari Challenge Japan. We see more and more of that across the Ferrari Challenge global family. Of course, Niklas Nielsen, who piloted a Ferrari 499P to overall glory at the Le Mans 24 Hours just a couple of months ago. He got some of his first steps in GT racing by way of Ferrari Challenge Japan. But safety car is out. That will be to deal with Yuga Furutani's stranded car. So Yudai Uchida was just starting to build a lead over Cold Max, 2.2 seconds the gap at the line that time, but now everything is reset effectively. Uchida then will be possibly a little bit frustrated with that. Cold Max, a very eager and brave driver. He could see an opportunity here in the early stages back under green flag conditions if we get this one back underway and he gets a good start. Of course, we will soon be racing. That car is undamaged, so we should see the race back underway very shortly. A shame, though, for Yuga Furutani. We no doubt will see him again, though, racing on the Sunday here in Ferrari Challenge Japan. That is the Ferrari Japan entry. Getting a look back now at the start of this race. It was a very good launch from row 2 from Uchida, and it was a really amazing launch from Cold Max. In fact, I don't think it was really the launch that got him. He just had temperature in the brakes. You saw there how committed and bold he was on the right pedal. Well, on the left pedal, I should say. Going into the first corner. Had a relatively good launch, but a killer first corner. And what was third would soon become second for Cold Max. Arakawa not quite with the same caliber of launch, and he'll be very disappointed with that, especially in retrospect, because of course if he had managed to hold that second position where he qualified, that would have converted into the lead, but he's still there in third position. He's still there with Cold Max and Uchida. He, though, will have to keep an eye on Motohiko Isosaki. Arakawa, of course, on a new grid here. He might not be familiar with all of the cast of characters in this series. But Isosaki is certainly a driver with experience. He's a driver who will make a move if an opportunity comes begging. Especially given Cold Max is also running in Trofeo Pirelli Am. And Isosaki is the pole sitter in that class. Would very much like to capitalise on his qualifying form. We have 24 minutes of this race left to run, plus 1 lap at the end. Uchida wisely trying to get some more temperature into the tyres here. Don't want to leave them idle under safety car conditions. As we've alluded to, lots of championship battles here throughout the 4 classes. Trofeo Pirelli, of course, for our fastest and most experienced drivers. Trofeo Pirelli Am, often for drivers who are getting quicker and quicker. Copa Shell for some of our more talented but still relatively new drivers. And then Copa Am is typically where a driver will make his racing debut, as well as his Ferrari Challenge debut. And in the Copa Shell class, Shirasaki well on his way here to securing a championship, potentially. If he continues to hold the class lead, you see him 5th on the timing tower there. The 109 car leading in Copa Shell at present. Phil Kim, his closest championship rival, is 3rd in class behind Kazutaka Miura. Miura is running 3rd in the championship and 2nd in this race. But as it stands, Shirasaki 22 points clear with 15 points available per race victory. He should be well on his way if he can hold on to that position. If he can lead Copa Shell all race long, then the Copa Shell title will certainly be his. Copa Shell Am equally looking good for Hiwatashi. Hiwatashi is now leading in the Copa Shell Am class. They're back to racing speeds by the looks of it. And Yuda Uchida is underway and racing. So I think they've parted ways with the safety car there at the halfway point of the lap. I think Uchida was meant to control the field as he wished once the safety car bailed there just after Revolver Corner. And well, his wish is to go racing. So he's driven off at full speed. Max Arakawa and Isosaki running 2nd, 3rd and 4th position. And it looks like Arakawa is right on the back of the number 15 at this stage. Arakawa looking racy in the rearview mirrors of Coldmax. Coldmax, who has a great deal of experience in Ferrari Challenge machinery. He's been part of this championship since 2018. Arakawa getting an opportunity to showcase his skills here in the 69 car. The upcoming talents in Japanese motorsport, and he's looking to the inside here. Oh, that looks like a good move. Does he get it stopped for the apex? Yes, he does. A move there for Rin Arakawa. You see the car getting a little bit loose underneath him at the crest of the hill, but it's a move for the 69. And Yuda Uchida will look in his rearview mirrors, and he might just start rolling up his sleeves because he's got 20 minutes now to hold on to the race lead. Arakawa, who was about a 1/3 of a second quicker than him in qualifying. It's going to be a very interesting battle. Arakawa, a driver with experience in single-seaters and GTs, doing this at a professional level. And Yuda Uchida, who is an incredibly gifted amateur racer. This is going to be a compelling scrap. Uchida is kind of the king of this Ferrari Challenge Japan Championship. Now a double champion across the 2 seasons of this series. Getting a look through the rest of the field then. As colourful as ever. And then at the rear of the field there is Kurokawa in the 155, one of our Copa Shell Am runners, just behind John Leo at this stage of the race. Just ahead of them was the 118 car. That is Satoru Kako, who made his debut appearance in Ferrari Challenge Japan on a one-off basis last year in Fuji. Great to see him back for the season finale this year in Okayama. Perhaps we'll see Kako at the wheel for a full season in 2025. Coldmax being caught up here by Motohiko Isosaki. Of course, it's the battle for Trofeo Pirelli Am, but equally, it's the battle for an overall podium. Being in that overall top 3 is always coveted. Motohiko Isosaki, who has a lot of miles in Ferrari Challenge machinery, the 488 Challenge Evo specifically. Though he's also been racing the 296 out in Europe as well, the new generation Challenge car that has been turning heads with its level of performance, with its level of downforce. And as I understand it, we will see it in both of the National Series coming up in 2025. So both the Ferrari Challenge UK and Ferrari Challenge Japan set to welcome the 296 for the following season. Yasutaka Shirasaki doing a good job here. 5th overall, leading in Copa Shell. Kazutaka Miura not too far back in 7th position. Between them, though, is Akita, running 3rd in Trofeo Pirelli Am, on his way to clinching that title, so long as he gets the flag without any problem. Powering out of the corner, a bit of a kick up of dust there from Phil Kim. The 199 clearly putting on the pressure. Up against Kazutaka Miura, these two have raced several times wheel to wheel this season. It hasn't always gone brilliantly. There have been some instances of contact between the two of them. But for Phil Kim, he has been very impressive in his first season, coming from the Ferrari Club Challenge, the kind of non-competitive track sessions across Asia, brought in by a friend of the series and a friend of himself, that being Jae Park. The South Korean racer is doing a very good job this year. I suspect he could have been a championship contender up against Shirasaki had he had more luck in his season opening weekend. He didn't score any points at the first round in Suzuka, and that kind of put him on the back foot in the championship contendership from that point onwards. Last time by, Arakawa in 2nd position overall was a couple of tenths quicker than Yudai Uchida. Let's see if that continues to be the case. The gap was 2.1 at the line last time by. If he's managed to shrink that under 2.1, he might be in business, and he is down to 2.1 now, my apologies. So yes, he is very much working to shrink the gap. A 1:33.7 last time for Arakawa. For Uchida last time by, it was at it was a 1:34.127. So the better part of half a second gained there by Arakawa. He is on the hunt then, up against Yudai Uchida. 129 car leading the way in Copa Shell Am. This is Masafumi Hiwatashi, the current championship leader, and in that position, leading the class. Masafumi Hiwatashi, for European version, will quite possibly be our champion in a little over 14 minutes' time. Uchida and Arakawa, we see the graphic on screen. Arakawa is hunting. He is closing. Every lap is kind of an extra bit of data for Arakawa in this car. He had practice, of course, on Friday. He's had qualifying to get to grips with the Ferrari 488 Challenge Evo, but he is getting quicker and quicker and more familiar. And for Yudai Uchida, I'm sure he senses an incoming battle. However, the gap, I think, that time went up a little bit. Yes, it did, because Yudai Uchida has not only matched the pace of Arakawa, he's gone quicker. A new fastest lap of the race, a 1:33.774. As to the inside there goes Yasutaka Shirasaki. He is on the rear of Motohiko Isosaki now for 4th overall. Now bear in mind, these two drivers are in different classes. Shirasaki doesn't care though. He dives to the inside. He's going to claim 4th position overall, and that is going to give him even more of a buffer in terms of the Copa Shell order. But Isosaki is not going to take that lying down. Cold Max has rather driven away from Isosaki at this stage. Isosaki now running 2nd in Trofeo Pirelli and behind the driver of the 15. But a great little scrap there between the two of them, and a good move from Shirasaki, who is running in Copa Shell, but on his current form, I wouldn't mind betting that an entry next year might be a Trofeo Pirelli AM entry, because he has been so fast this year. Oh, Yudai Uchida there, a little bit loose coming out of the corner. I think in general this lap has been a little bit weaker than the one previous indeed. A 1:35.0. He was over a second back on the pace of Rin Arakawa on that lap. So as you can see on the graphic there, he was quicker just over a lap ago. Lap 9 of the race, he was actually faster than Arakawa, but he's lost time there on lap 10, and you saw the rear tyres lighting up coming out of the final corner. Arakawa is sensing opportunity here. That gap is basically at a second. I wouldn't mind betting it's now under a second. He flashes the headlights. He will know as well as anybody that here at Okayama, making an overtake can be tricky. It's one of the narrower circuits that we have here on the Ferrari Challenge Japan calendar. However, there are also a number of good braking zones. We saw Shirasaki taking advantage of that. But can Arakawa find a way past the wily veteran Yudai Uchida? They're stacking up as well further back in the field in the fringes of the top 10. I think that's Shirasaki down to about 10th or 11th place all in one pack. But at the front of the order, Rin Arakawa means business. We're into the final third of the race now, just over 10 minutes to go, plus 1 lap. And Yudai Uchida will have to start driving through the mirrors now. We've seen what an incredible defensive driver Yudai Uchida can be. Spent a majority of the race at Suzuka on the season opening weekend, race 2. Put on an absolutely fabulous defensive display up against Yuka Furatani. And now Rin Arakawa is going to try and get past the number 1, and he's going to find it a little bit tricky. You see Uchida there arcing to the inside, making sure that he had the inside of the corner, and immediately ducks inward as well down the straight. Wants to have early claims to that inside line. Arakawa looking speculatively to the inside. But he is now seeing that Ferrari 488 Challenge Evo widen before his eyes, but Uchida's eyes would have widened there. A little snap of oversteer coming through Revolver corner. Uchida takes the defensive line. Arakawa trying to take the outside. Is he going to have the inside line for the next bend? No, not quite. Gets onto the grass, snap of oversteer that he manages to hold on to quite nicely. That was nice driving from Arakawa to keep that on the straight and narrow. But Uchida wasn't going to give him the inside line for the corner that easily. There was some dust being kicked up there. I think somebody had a little bit of an off up ahead of them in the battles towards the rear of the field. Good driving there from Kurikawa, I believe that is, who's just let them through. Doesn't want to be a factor in this battle if he can possibly avoid it. They approach Atwood Curve now through the Moss S. And now Uchida, I imagine, on the approach to the hairpin, is once again going to arc to the inside. Yes, indeed. This is classic Yudai Uchida. On the rare occasions he's not the fastest driver out there, you can be sure that he's going to be the one with the biggest elbows. Arakawa, though, around the outside. He's not going to get it done there. Oh, Uchida with a snap of oversteer once again. So difficult to apply the power efficiently across the crest of a hill like that. Arakawa to the inside line once again. Again gets his nose cut off by Yudai Uchida. This is going to be grandstand viewing for the remainder of this race. 7.5 minutes to go. Cold Max is behind them. He continues to lead in Trofeo Pirelli Am. Shirasaki on his way to the title in Copa Shell in 4th overall. Akita in 5th place is on course as well to gift wrap his title in the Trofeo Pirelli Am class. But the champion already of the 2024 Trofeo Pirelli class here in Ferrari Challenge Japan is leading the way and having a lot of fun battling with Rin Arakawa on his first weekend here in Ferrari Challenge Japan. Getting a look at a spin there. Was that having a moment? We're seeing really how the gravel ended up being kicked up there, aren't we? That's the 108 of John Leo kicking up some gravel, and that was the cloud of dust that we saw as Uchida and had this moment here with Arakawa. Uchida holding his track position. Arakawa with a good test here of his overtaking ability. Find a Ferrari 488's width up against Yudai Uchida, getting onto the grass there on the entry into the corner. You want to clip that curb on the outside of the turn, but you don't want to get the grass, and that's what Arakawa did. Unsettled the car momentarily. These Ferrari 488 Challenge Evos, very raceable cars. You can have great duels with them, and that's exactly what Arakawa is finding out at the moment. But he's also finding out that one of our leading lights in this championship, Yudai Uchida, is a stern-faced driver when his lead is contested. 5.5 minutes to go here, and half a second between our front two. In Copa Shell-Am, it is now Ryotaro Saito leading the way, so there's been a change of lead there in Copa Shell-Am. Not a change of lead, I don't think, into Atwood this time, but Arakawa tried it once again. You could see him trying to get to the inside, but Uchida sensed it coming, made sure to cover the inside under braking. Into the hairpin corner they go. Uchida, and again allowing Arakawa the outside line, but the inside is another thing entirely. Arakawa with the good run over the brow of the hill there. Through Revolver corner they go. Back on the power. This is such a difficult technical section here. Don't think these cars will be getting out of 4th gear for most of the middle portion of the lap. Up and down the gearbox. Phil Kim is under investigation for an unsafe rejoin. Not quite sure what that entails. An unsafe rejoin investigation for Phil Kim. Ryotaro Saito leading in Copa Shell-Am, then Hiwatashi in second, but that will still be enough, by my understanding, for Hiwatashi to secure the championship. Let's focus, though, on this fabulous battle for the lead. Uchida is well aware that he's under significant pressure here. As we get a look back at the round the outside attempt there from Arakawa. He did a very good job of carrying the momentum. We've seen a lot of moments like this so far, and I suspect they're still going hammer and tong at the moment, but what a fight we are seeing for the lead here. Let's go back to the live pictures, and it's still a high-pressure situation for Yuda Uchida. Around the middle sector once again, they're running out of laps. Arakawa is running out of laps. Uchida won't mind if the checkered flag comes out now, I suspect. He wants this race win. He's gone undefeated since round 2 of the season. Yuga Furatani took both victories on the Japanese Grand Prix weekend at Suzuka, but since then, Uchida has had his way with the top step of the podium. And as they cross the line now, they will effectively have 3 laps left to go. 2 minutes 18 plus 1 lap. And Arakawa is yet to find a way by. I think he's spotted a couple of places where he's strong. He's strong here on the exit of the second turn. He's then quick through the Moss S and into the Atwood corner. But Uchida has noticed that too and is covering him off at every opportunity. Here comes Arakawa. Looks to the outside this time. Uchida takes the inside. Can he carry the momentum out of the corner? The answer is no. He tries to cut to the inside, but he doesn't get the run out of the corner for that. Uchida to the inside line as they run down the straight towards the hairpin corner. And again, every single time, Uchida makes sure, by hook or by crook, that he has the inside line for each turn. He continually makes sure that he has the high ground in this scrap. And Arakawa, a very measured young man. I don't think he'll be getting frustrated, but he knows he's got the pace. He just can't find the open door. Every door is padlocked when Yuda Uchida is in charge of the opening and closing. Less than a minute to go. They'll start the penultimate lap this time by. Once the clock hits 0, it's plus 1 lap. Across the start-finish line they go. One of the best battles we've seen in Ferrari Challenge Japan this year. Cold Max remains in 3rd place. Shirasaki is in 4th. Akita, Miura, Kim, and Yaneda bringing us down to 8th position. Then it's Ryotaro Saito leading in Copa Shell Am. Shirasaki is on his way to championship glory in Copa Shell. Akita's on his way to championship glory in Trofeo Pirelli Am. And Hiwatashi, I believe, will secure Copa Shell Am as well. However, Yuda Uchida, race control saying final lap, apparently. We usually have plus 1 lap in this race, but we'll see whether or not the checkered flag is out this time then. Is that Motohiko Isozaki pulled up? Yes, Motohiko Isozaki, who was in Trofeo Pirelli Am and running well in that class. He's pulled up there, we saw that. So an unfortunate end to Isosaki's race. Here comes Arakawa once again. Arakawa accelerating and again put onto the grass a little bit there. Does a good job of keeping the car on the straight and narrow. Uchida heading towards the final turn. I don't think we're set to see the checkered flag this time by. I'm keeping an eye on the gantry. Doesn't look like we are seeing the checkered flag, so there is plus 1 lap as anticipated here. Cold Max comes across the line to start the final lap of the race in 3rd. And leading, more importantly, in Trofeo Pirelli Am, but the race is still on. We are not at the end of this race yet. Uchida and Arakawa are running 1st and 2nd. Ryotaro Saito is leading in Trofeo Pirelli Am. In Copa Shell Am. Getting a look at him. We haven't seen much of Ryotaro Saito in this race, but he is running a strong 9th overall. He's built a nice gap as well over Hiwatashi. But Hiwatashi, by my understanding, will nonetheless be our Copa Shellam champion. Again, no checkered flag has been shown, so we're on the final lap of the race. What's going on between Uchida and Arakawa? We need to see the leading battle here, because this is the final lap of the race going on as we speak. The 181 car of Shibata coming around the final corner. Uchida and Arakawa will be approaching the final bends of the lap now on the final lap of this race. Here they are, still fighting, because this is the final lap of the race. And Arakawa looking to the inside line. He can't get it done there. Oh, Uchida getting very, very loose indeed. Uchida out of the final bend. This time the checkered flag will be waiting for them. And Uchida, despite huge pressure for the last third of that race, has held off for the win. Uchida beats Arakawa to the line. Third place will be Cold Max to win in Trofeo Pirelli Am. And here comes Yasutaka Shirasaki to secure his championship in Copa Shell. Shirasaki is the Copa Shell champion, and Akita has crossed the line to win in Trofeo Pirelli Am as well. So two champions crowned in short order there. Shirasaki winning Copa Shell, and Pirelli Am going to Akita. Across the line now for 9th place comes Saito in the 127. He wins the race in Copa Shell Am. But winning the title in Copa Shell Am there, just coming across the line, was the 129 car of Hiwatashi. By my admittedly rudimentary maths, he will have done enough to secure the championship. I believe the gap will be down to 15 points between the two of them. However, on count back, he cannot be beaten. So I think Hiwatashi has done enough. What a race, though, between Uchida and Arakawa. And it's a well-deserved victory, a hard-fought victory for Yudai Uchida. John Leo in the 108 car coming across the line towards the rear of the field. Shame that we lost Isosaki towards the end of the race. We didn't see exactly what happened there. We also saw Kanji Agura straggling towards the end of the race. He crossed the line in 15th position. Yudai Uchida adds yet another win to his tally in the Ferrari Challenge Japan season of 2024. That is his 7th consecutive victory in this season. It's been a dominant championship, and he is a dominant champion. And despite the best efforts there of Rin Arakawa, it is Uchida who wins the day. Arakawa second, Cold Max third and first in Pirelli Am. And Yasutaka Shirasaki, 4th overall on his way to the Copa Shell Championship, as well as the Copa Shell win. Akita with 5th overall and 2nd in Trofeo Pirelli Am is your champion in Trofeo Pirelli Am for this year. Started it in the best way possible with an overall podium in Suzuka, and Akita has succeeded at claiming his title. But Yudai Uchida, oh, he'll be feeling that race. That was a very challenging race. And I'm sure he put everything into that defensive drive. And I'm sure as well that there'll be a hearty handshake between he and Arakawa after that race. Respectful man, Yudai Uchida. But a very, very gutsy fighter on the track, and I believe I see there Arakawa greeting Yudai Uchida as we speak. I'm sure that'll be a well done. Good job. Arakawa wanted that win. He'll be searching for it, of course, again in race 2 at the weekend, and potentially with Yuga Furutardi in the mix as well. That could be very entertaining. But what a race we saw there. What a performance we saw once again from Yuda Uchida. Pirelli hats on. I believe that is Arakawa, who looks very happy. I'm sure he enjoyed that race as much as we did. Just looking into the battle in Copa Shell Am, the gap between the two of them would have been down to 17 points between Saito and Hiwatashi. We'll talk about that in a minute. Uchida and Arakawa with a brilliant fight at the top of the order. Uchida wins it from Arakawa. Cold Max in Trofeo Pirelli Am winning in that class. Shirasaki fourth, winning in Copa Shell. Akita, Kazutaka Miura, Phil Kim, Masaru Yaneda, Raitaru Saito, and Masafumi Hiwatashi bringing us down to 10th place. Hiroyuki Katayama in 11th, Norikazu Shibata in 12th, Ryotaro Umuri in 13th, Kunihiro 14th, Yagura 15th, Kako in 16th place, John Leo in 17th position. A couple of non-finishers at the end of that race. But we now get a look at some highlights. It was a great launch from Yuga Furatani. And a good launch as well from Yuda Uchida. He was up to second place in the early going. Cold Max with a brilliant getaway up to third position from 7th on the grid. Furatani would briefly lead the race, but unfortunately he would not go beyond the first lap. We'll see him back in the car, of course, on Sunday. Uchida would soon see a switch of positions behind him, though. The 69 car of Rin Arakawa getting past Cold Max. Meanwhile, we got a brilliant scrap on as well with our new champion in Copa Shell, Shirasaki, getting past Motohiko Isazaki for 4th overall. Shirasaki with great pace here in Okayama. Arakawa, meanwhile, was doing everything he could to find his way past Yuda Uchida. Every door was knocked on, but none of them were opened by Yuda Uchida. For not the first time this year, potentially not the last time this year, we see Yuda Uchida at his full defensive best. With his elbows out, his teeth gritted, and the checkered flag on his mind, Yuda Uchida held on to the victory in a brilliant scrap, a respectful scrap, with Arakawa in the 69. Already our champion in Trofeo Pirelli, Yuda Uchida once again showing why he is the master of Ferrari Challenge in the Asian region. Arakawa then taking a hard-earned second place. But to circle back again to the championship situation in Shell Am, Hiwatashi was 19 points clear of Saito going into this weekend. That would have been reduced to 18 points for Saito, given Saito had pole position for the class in this race. However, with Hiwatashi finishing second to Saito, the gap will still be 15 points, and there are technically 16 still available. 17 still available, actually, with pole position and fastest lap points. So, technically speaking, Hiwatashi has not secured the championship, I don't think, just yet. It will be 15 points between them with 17 available. So Hiwatashi needs a good qualifying tomorrow to try and secure the title in that qualifying session. If he gets that extra point, that should be the last we write of the championship for this year. Because on tiebreaker, Hiwatashi would win. He's had more victories this year. But I believe Hiwatashi is going to have to wait a little bit longer to officially secure the title in Copa Shell Am. In the cool-down room, I suspect Some drivers were very quick to reach for those water bottles. It was a fairly grueling race. It's quite humid in Okayama. You can see the debrief and the discussion going on. But congratulations to Yasutaka Shirazaki and Akita, who are both now confirmed, locked in as champions this year in their respective classes. Akita, the champion in Trofeo Pirelli Am. Shirazaki, the champion in Copa Shell. Of course, as we know, Yudai Uchida is the champion in the Trofeo Pirelli class. I've never seen one of those leaf blower cooling devices used on a foot before, but anything to get cool in the immediate aftermath of a race. We will hopefully get to see the podiums. It's a busy schedule here today at Okayama, so hopefully we might at least get to see the Trofeo Pirelli podium before we wrap up this broadcast. And for now, you get to see the celebrations and the cool down for our drivers. They'll be discussing the race that was, and I'm sure they'll be doing that in Ferrari hospitality later as well, going, well, let's actually watch this race back and see what everyone else's battles look like. It's remarkably insular when everyone's in their own scraps, but they're all contemporaries, they're all good friends, and I'm sure they'll be chatting about this one long into the evening. So Yudai Uchida with his 7th win in the history of the in this series, the 2024 season. I believe still in the history of this series of Ferrari Challenge Japan, he's only been defeated on 3 occasions, both races at Suzuka this year and just once in 2023. So Uchida showing his class time and time again here in Ferrari Challenge Japan. I don't know for sure if he's doing Finale Mondiali, but I wouldn't mind betting we see him there. Going up against some of the best drivers in the world in Ferrari Challenge racing. Speaking of the world of Ferrari Challenge, as we get to see to the top step of the podium, Yudai Uchida. The podium's ongoing then, but it's an important weekend in Ferrari Challenge North America as well. So do tune into that later on in the day if you wish to see some more Ferrari Challenge action. Rin Arakawa taking the 2nd step of the Trofeo Pirelli podium. And of course, Yudai Uchida claiming the win in that class with some fabulous racing and some stern defensive action. Yudai Uchida again proving to be one of the most joyous drivers to watch in this series. It's always a good battle, and Rin Arakawa will be looking to go one step better on Sunday, but he's going to have Uchida to contend with again. He's also going to have, no doubt, Yuga Furatani in the number 2 car back on form on Sunday as well. It's going to be a hugely compelling race. And as the podium celebrations begin, we have to bid you adieu for now. Make sure to join us for the season finale tomorrow at Okayama.